Hi, Vijay Mystery here. In this video, I want to share with you the 5 red signals for CEOs in a private company. Now, there is a common trend which I've noted, and these signals stand out. These are the watch out points for CEOs in private companies, and this is something which I've noted. So let's deep dive straight into these signals, which I believe will help you realize what you really need to do in order for you to tweak your journey. The first and foremost, assumptions. My dear friends, let me give you an example here. There was one particular media company and they had a few P&L centers. One particular P&L center, the head of that particular P&L center, she was giving more assumptions to the CEO, who was the owner of this organization, rather than facts. In other words, what was happening is that decision making was not as effective as it was supposed to be. There was a lot of risk and there was a lot of uncertainty when making those decisions. And here's the thing, is that profitability started falling. So my point here is that one of the key factors as a CEO, you must ensure that you got enough facts. Now, with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the technological drivers we have currently available, I believe it is much easier for you to get facts. So work on getting as many facts as possible, because it will help you in your decision making. It will enable you to have a clearer roadmap, and you'll be able to make an impact, and you'll be able to make highly effective decisions. Let's deep dive into the second signal, which is executive energy. Again, I'll share with you another example. There was this retail organization, and what happened is that the executives in this one particular organization, when we met for meetings, the energy level was not there. It wasn't, you could feel it. In fact, it was obvious that they were not really contributing with dynamism as much as they were supposed to. One of the things that I did is to identify what was the key reason. So what you really need to find out is what are the root cause analysis. Speak to your executive team if you feel there is this lack of executive energy, because it's so important to have that power driven energy when you are in meetings or when you are discussing strategy or anything that you are having those collaborations with, and obviously as well as the work front, so that the cycle keeps on going, but that level of energy is at a heightened level. One of the key reasons I realized when I was speaking to one of the executives is that he felt there was not enough transparency in the organization. Another executive felt that she was intimidated by a couple of influential executives in a meeting they held. So what are some of the signals that you are citing when it comes to this executive energy? Because that in itself is going to add to the leverage to the growth of your organization. Let's move on to the third point, doing too much. Now, this is common with many CEOs. They take on board a lot of things. In one particular instance, there was one particular CEO, and what he was doing is his focus was going into other investments rather than focusing and concentrating on what was really core ingredients for the growth of his organization, that pipeline of growth. And this is the key missing point that I realized. And what you really need to ensure is that you got enough clarity. That is very important. So ensure that you have that clarity, delegate certain tasks. And so here is my challenge. What are 3 specific things that you can delegate to your subordinates who could do those tasks for you? What are 2 or 3 things you do or change your habits which will help you to utilize your time more effectively? So you need to find out what works for you and how you can make those fine line tweaks in your day-to-day routine. Let me move to the third one, which is somewhat related to the second one, the balance. When I'm talking about the balance, I'm again going back into focusing, but this time at a different level. Where is your focus on? 50,000 feet, bridge maker as I put it, and 50 feet. So where is that focus and the balance of the focus? Why is this very important, and why am I mentioning this? You need to have the mental muscle, you need to have the mental energy, you need to ensure that you have the right mindset to enable your strategy to translate into result. How can you really do that? By ensuring that you deploy your time slots accordingly. How do you deploy your time slots accordingly? By ensuring that you spend enough time on all the core areas of growth in your organization. Here's a suggestion that every 4 to 6 weeks, ensure that you have this one particular meeting. You could call it governance meeting, or you could call it a high-end meeting, or discussing about the long-term linkage with ground level activities. This is important, and I'm not talking about having those management meetings. I'm talking about forward-looking linkage points, touch points, all the backlinks and all the touch points to ground level. That is the first thing. Secondly, where is that traction point? In other words, what is that point where you would be spending more of your time? How can you, as a CEO, translate the strategy into results? And that is by ensuring there is a deep level of follow through, and ensuring that there is that heightened level of understanding and switched on as to what is happening. Which brings me to the third point, which is ensuring that you have a complete understanding of how the organization runs, which means all the departments and everything that is going within your organization, which also includes culture, ensuring that you have the right culture in place. Let me move to the next point, which is financials. Now, my dear friends, we know financials are the lifeblood of organizations. So you need to put in effort ensuring that 3 core areas are taken into consideration. First and foremost, try shifting. If you have this in place, that's fantastic, but try shifting from historical information to real-time information. In other words, ensure that you have your finger on the pulse. So you need to understand what is happening. You need to have a snapshot. You need to have that direction in place. Number 2, you need to ensure that if you have your financial forecasts and if you have a budget in place, you need to tweak it as you go forward. You don't leave it till the end of the year. So if you need to take into consideration certain external factors or certain pressures within, you need to ensure that you tweak the roadmap accordingly. So that is very powerful. And the third thing that you really need to ensure is your liquidity position, to ensure that at any one time you have that sustainability in place. And if you look into your cash, what's going to happen is you'll start identifying other areas such as leakages. When I spoke to one particular CEO and we were having this coaching session, one thing that we realized is that when he started focusing on cash, all the direct and indirect impact points started surfacing out, and we picked up certain leakages as we went along the journey. So it's very important to have that focus. I'm not saying those are the only 3. I'm sure there are many other points which you may want to consider, but I just wanted to share my guidelines which would help you to grow your organization. My dear friends, I hope you found this video on the 5 red signals for CEOs in a private company insightful. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, where I'll share with you more growth-driven insights to help you scale up your organization, as well as help you become a world-class entrepreneur, leader, director, executive, and manager. Thank you very much. Bye for now.